That's good. I think we're live.
We are live.
Yay! All
Yay.
right. So, big announcement. Hello, everyone, everyday leaders on all platforms. I think I'm actually on LinkedIn tonight. I am so excited about this.
Yay.
Yay! Whatever magician pulled that plug, I thank you because I've had this StreamYard for a year. And every couple of weeks, I say, it's attached on the back end, but oh my gosh, I could never get the LinkedIn to approve. So I just clicked the button tonight and David McGlennen, you're the magic.
What can I say? I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
The luck of the Irish.
Oh, so for those of you that have never joined this show before, I am Melanie Ake, and I am the founder of Everyday Leaders, which is really started out as a podcast, and now it is a kind of a tribe and a company and a belief that if you need to develop strategies in your life, you are going to be introduced to people and so that are overcoming obstacles every day through developing businesses, developing relationships, developing strategies that they can be successful in every area. We talk about spiritual, financial, personal, community development, career, culture development, and my friend tonight, David McGlennen, has created a company all about cultures. And David, we have so much to talk about.
Yes, we do. It's been a while.
It has been a while. And so I have to kind of shout out because we are both John Maxwell team members.
Yep.
And so that's all about our beliefs. And we're going to talk about all those things that's why we believe what we do in inner circles and why that's so important. But you joined me a few months ago, actually, and on the 50 and 50 podcast. So I want to invite people, if you have not followed the Everyday Leaders podcast, to go right now to episode 113 and mark that for later and listen to our conversation because, my goodness, David, you shared so many of those nuggets about your history and your family. And so, first of all, thanks for doing that.
Yes, it's my pleasure. It's my honor to be on there. I'm super excited to be on that episode and here this evening. It's always a thrill to talk with you, Melanie.
It is so much fun. You know, when you have a friendship and you really believe that you can change the world, you have it within your soul. And so that's why I love being on your journey because because here we go. And you have something to share tonight with our audience, the things that you're doing. So I want you to kind of, systematically take us through. When we did the podcast, you had developed your company, which I'm going to put up here for everybody to follow.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So so 5 years ago, I left the corporate world and started Impact Leadership Consulting. And at the time, I thought I was going to be a speaker. But what I really found out was that I was a much better coach. I still like speaking and I still enjoyed speaking and do some speaking. But my primary emphasis is on helping leaders to really live in alignment with their values and to live in a way that they are able to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish, but then also not sacrifice the things that are the most important to them. And so, with the work that I do, I work with executive leaders, I work with companies in their culture, and then also their emerging leaders. And so one of the things that I did, I guess it's been about a year ago, is I created a podcast that I put only on YouTube at the time. And it was really born out of my work with the emerging leader group that I have. And I really wanted to be able to find a way to have conversations with leaders who were either business owners, CEOs, executives, just leaders that I know that were really, really doing a great job in leadership. And so I did that. And so over the course of the last year, I have a number of different episodes with some great leaders. I've got a 70-year-old, 7-time Ironman finisher that I interviewed this past spring. So just some really cool people. And over the summer, then I dove into a mastermind and really was challenged kind of in my heart to actually take my podcast and twist it just a little bit and actually put it out on the platforms, Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all of those different platforms. So I just launched it, and so I'm so excited to announce that I just launched my podcast. I've called it In the Growth Space, because one of the things that I really wanted to be able to do was create a place where I could have conversations with one, maybe two, maybe just me, people to really grapple with things that help us grow, help our businesses grow, help our teams grow, help our cultures stay on point. And so that's really what I've done. And so I just launched the first. I think I've got 3 episodes out there right now, and next Monday we'll release the next episode. I've got some solo episodes. So the first ones tell my story a little bit, tell my professional story, my personal story, some of my own history and my family life and that kind of thing. So I'm super excited to be able to share that with you and your audience here tonight, because it's a project that I've been working on really just over the summer, but I've really been working on it for a little bit over a year now.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, right? It didn't just happen overnight.
No.
When I think about your business, right,
Yeah.
you have actually been in as an entrepreneur for several years. So
Yeah, pretty well, and actually pretty much my whole life. I mean, my last little stint, I was, in a startup in 2009. It was a startup company. We grew it massively. It was a fast growing company. I think when I left, there was 186 employees, and I think I was like employee at 9 or 10, but I was the first, business development guy. And so it's kind of been in my blood, this entrepreneurial journey. I really love it, and I really enjoy working with entrepreneurs and working with business owners, because it's such a tough place to be in. You want to lead, you want to grow, and yet you have to take care of your people. You have to, just a whole balancing act. And so I just love the space. I really love the space.
mm-hmm. And you're so good at it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you are. And so you decided to have an event last December.
I did. Yeah.
And you invited me, which thank you very much. That was awesome.
You were awesome.
To be a part of. But it was so quaint, because your dream of being able to say, okay, I want to develop cultures. And so that doesn't just mean coming in and doing a workshop.
No,
right?
Absolutely not.
When you develop this emerging leaders inner circle, that just came out of, I want to give back and add value beyond a workshop.
Right. Yeah. And actually it came out of some work I was doing with a client, and it was a little bit of a collaboration. And I had this thought, like, wow, what if we put together this group environment with these emerging leaders that would actually help support and future-proof the organization and bring it a lot more resiliency. And the cool thing is since we started this company has had record-breaking years, historic sales years, revenue years. And frankly, this year they carried the company because they were an essential business, and they had the leadership team that was working together, that was really creative, and they really just knocked it out of the park. So super proud of them and the work that they've done.
That is amazing. And I want to thank, all of the people that are joining you, because this isn't something that you just do by yourself.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
Your tribe, right? Your tribe of people that you have, all these masterminds. Yeah. And when we talk about somebody that comes in and hires you as a consultant to do a workshop, and then you offer this group training, and you offer the masterminds, and it's really what we know as John Maxwell trainers and coaches and speakers, is that you have to develop the leaders around you and to lift them, right? And that's what's missing in some of these cultures. It's not just this level.
Yeah.
It's everyone.
It's everybody, right? Yeah, and I found that it really takes a leader of the organization that's willing to be vulnerable and to be able to let everybody know, hey, I don't know all the answers. I know where we're going. I have a mission, and I have the vision, but I don't know all the answers on how I'm going to get there, and I need you to help me. Those kind of leaders, they're awesome, and I look for them because those are the kind of people that believe what we believe, and I can work with them, and I enjoy working with them. So it's cool to be able to see that, and it's cool to be able to find those kinds of leaders.
Hmm. So when you say believe what you believe,
Yeah.
you know where I'm going next, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So one of my favorite mentors is Simon Sinek,
Yeah,
and
mine
he just
too.
he just released an interview the other day where he was talking about, you can only do business with the people that you want to do business with. It's a choice.
Exactly.
And one of his favorite quotes, and I have a Bible study that we've been doing for the last year, and every day we think, there are situations that we talk about, and then I always come back to, well, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
And so if you set up your business and your life for surrounding people in your inner circle that believe what you believe,
Yep.
how much more momentum can you get in your life?
Oh, yeah,
That's it,
for
right?
sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that the thing that I've come to the conclusion is that, first of all, I believe that if an organization, if a leader will build their people, and if a leader will invest in their people, and not just invest monetarily, but invest time and effort and energy, to know and connect with them. When that happens, your people will be fulfilled at a level that they've never been fulfilled in your organization. And when they grow, your company is going to grow. And I've seen it time and time again. And it's kind of a magical equation that when a leader invests in his team or her team, it's so cool to watch that, that process.
Hmm. What would you say is the biggest aha moment that you've had in kind of working with some of these groups?
The first thing that comes to mind, because it just happened last week in my Emerging Leader Inner Circle meeting, I was actually coaching one of the members, a one-on-one, and she was describing her situation, and it's the typical struggle, like, oh gosh, I was feeling so good, and then, I'm just not, not feeling it today, and I basically said, you are experiencing, that's the growth space. So you're outside of your comfort zone. You're running up against that terror barrier, and you're just kind of bouncing off. Just know that it's normal. And so what I did is I challenged her in that one-on-one coaching session and asked her, I said, would you be willing to come on the group and share that struggle? And she said, yeah, I will. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome. I get chill bumps just thinking about it, because when we went into the session, then we started talking about this whole idea of getting outside of your comfort zone. It sounds all great. And, it sounds, oh yeah, let's get outside of our comfort zone. When you're outside of your comfort zone, it doesn't feel so great. I mean, it feels kind of, like,
Kind
I
of
don't
like
know
the
what I'm
pandemic.
doing. Yeah, exactly. Like, what am I doing? I'm lost. I don't know where to go. But she shared that. But she also shared some of her, we call them our I am statements. I am able to do hard things. I am able to, make it through this. And I am able to talk in front of, 20 other people. And that was so cool to see. That for me, was like, oh, that, it's not even me doing it. It's her, it's them pressing into the growth and doing the hard things. One of the things I have them do, I ask them to do, and I don't know if you've ever been part of Toastmasters. I don't know if we've talked about this or not,
Nope.
but so I was in Toastmasters a number of years ago, and one of the parts of a Toastmasters meeting is the table topics.
Mm-hmm.
And I firmly believe that every leader needs to be able to come up with a 1-minute talk on just a subject at the drop of the hat. And so we do table topics, and everybody gets so nervous, and I can see that, like, don't pick me, don't pick me, don't pick me. And then I pick them, and then they're like, okay, and then they go into it, and then they're awesome. And once they do it a few times, then they get past, that feeling, well, I don't know, they get past it, but they get more comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's that to me, that's the most satisfying, when I can see them starting to push through that. it's really cool to see, and it's really cool to watch. So that's just kind of a recent example of something that happened in the emerging leader group that I think is, and that impacts culture too at its very core, because it's how you do things. And like you said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if we're focused on those key fundamental behaviors of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, that's, that contributes to our culture. So
It sure does. Because if you think about, as a leader running an organization, you can't do it all. And
no,
and so if you can really build the confidence in your
yeah,
team and you know that you can trust them,
yeah,
right? Trust is a
absolutely,
huge word that if you can just bring issues to the table that you say, I know that I'm going to get the feedback that I need to hear, not
yeah,
that I want to hear, but that I
right,
need to hear.
yeah.
And then that sign right behind you is pretty significant,
It
right?
is, yeah. I don't know how much of it you can see, but
But
it's
so
definitely says play like a champion
play
today.
like a champion because that's what you believe in your heart.
It
And so
is.
that's how you develop all of your programs. You
Yeah.
have to have that coach, right? And then you
Yep.
have to have the captain, and then you
Yeah.
have to have the quarterback. And so developing all those members that can really carry that ball to the finish line. And Jennifer
Right.
Garrett would say, "Okay, move the ball, move the ball."
Right. Right.
But
Just move it forward.
it's so true, right? It's just taking your company apart and saying, "What do I want it to look like?" It's
Right.
all possible. It's all possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you mentioned something about trust, and I think that's a big component in leadership. But it takes based trust, and vulnerability based trust is that ability to be able to open up to your team and just say, "I don't have all the answers. I need your help. I'm not really good at this. You are. Can you teach me how to do that?" That creates trust, and that begins to build that foundation of trust. And then when we have that, then we can get to those more difficult things, like having a speak straight conversation and telling me that you disagree with me. And sometimes in organizations, I've seen this too, where people don't like to disagree, and it's there are high performing teams disagree. High performing teams have conflict, and they engage in healthy, robust discussion, debate, and they make sure that they get everything out on the table. Because at the end of the day, if they don't, they're not going to be able to get commitment. They're not going to be able to have accountability, and then that's going to lead to an inattention to results, and so they're going to just not be a results oriented team.
Mhm.
So trust is such a huge factor in leadership.
It is, and I wanna talk about, the people that you see, right, when you start a program, and they're hesitant, like you said, don't pick
Yeah.
me, I don't wanna talk about this." But usually those are the ones that say, "If somebody else will say something, I'll agree."
Right.
Right? I'm
Right.
not willing to kind of put myself out there and be vulnerable because maybe I haven't been at the company long enough. Maybe
Yeah.
I came from a different environment and I experienced, something horrible if I stepped up and said something.
Yep.
So, but what you're doing when we talk about cultures, that's
Yep.
really getting everybody back on the same page and kind of starting at the ground level and then building that
Yeah.
together, right? It's
Right.
not you got to do this. It's we build it together.
Yeah, that culture really has to be based on the behaviors too, because it's one thing to have values, but values without actually being able to live them out and have the behaviors attached to them, they're just values. They're just like things that you put on the wall. So we have to have the values that says, in order to show respect, we listen generously. We have speak straight conversations. We practice blameless problem solving. Those kinds of fundamentals that just tell people how we do business around here.
Okay, I got to stop you because here we go. We we have
Wait, what?
somebody that wants to know.
Of course, Eric Reed.
Hi,
Of
Eric.
course. Yes. Yes. Hey, Eric. How you doing, buddy? So can I answer the question?
Absolutely. What is a
Yes.
speak straight conversation, David?
Yeah. So a speak straight conversation is one of those conversations that you have a pit in your stomach, but you have to have that conversation. It makes you uncomfortable, but the goal is to move something forward, move a situation forward. It's not just, saying, hey, Melanie, I'm just going to give you a piece of my mind. I just need to let you know where I stand. And that way, where I stand. That's not a speak straight conversation. Speak straight conversation is, hey, Melanie, I know you're the CEO of this company. However, this is something that I see. And I think if we do it this way, then we're going to actually have better results. And it takes guts to be able to, for somebody to go to a CEO or to go to their boss and challenge them, or have even a colleague, being able to go to a colleague and say, David, you said that you were going to have this to me by Friday at 3 p.m. It's Monday morning and I still don't have it. Those kinds of things don't give me trust. That kind of a speak straight conversation is what I'm talking about. It's the ability to try to get the action moved forward, to be able to get a solution to an issue. And it's having the courage to be able to have those difficult conversations.
Okay, so Eric wants to know, are there rules?
Are there rules? Well, in some respects, yes. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not, I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. It's let's be constructive. What's going to move the situation forward? What's our end game? What do we want to get out of this conversation? What do we hope to see? Kind of practicing what's with the, begin with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. So I would say, that's number one rule. And number two, I would say too, is don't, leave your emotion out of it to the best of your ability. And sometimes, when I've had a speak straight conversation, sometimes I'll even just admit that I'm uncomfortable. Hey, Melanie, I got to have a speak straight conversation with you. And man, this is really making me uncomfortable. When I get uncomfortable, sometimes my emotions get the best of me. So just give me a little bit of grace. And if I start the conversation off that way, then that really sets the tone to know that, okay, I'm going to talk about something here and I'm uncomfortable and it may not come out right. So I don't know if that helps, Eric, but those are some parameters that I use when I talk about a speak straight conversation.
Well, I think it's so important because here, we're involved in still in COVID. So anybody that's watching the replay, right? This is October the 20th. And so we've been doing this for so many months that we're kind of like, is this the new norm? And are we going to go back to work environments where we're challenged with, people that may have been stressed at different levels? And then we come back together, it may not look like it did before. Right. And so even the same teams, they may have to start developing a new culture of what they accept, how they trust each other, what they can do to help each other. And so it's really important, the things that you have brought out, because we're all going to experience it, right? Nobody has been left out of this 2020 pandemic.
Right, exactly.
Oh my goodness. There is one thing I wanted to ask you. I just lost my train of thought. When we're talking about your new podcast, right? Yeah. So I want to talk to you about this because I know that you're really proud about this.
I am. Yeah.
And the music that was created for the intro.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so it's a jingle that was created by my son, and so Eric, if you're still watching, you got to go out and listen to my podcast. It's some of Evan's best work. So essentially, what I did is at dinner one night, I said, I need something. I need a little bit of music for my podcast. Just some kind of intro music, and I knew that's probably all that I needed to say. And so Evan, my son, woke up the next morning and he told my wife, he said, Mom, he said, I woke up with this jingle in my head. So I'm going to write it out and then I'll record it and give it to Dad for his podcast. And actually what he did is he created 3 different jingles. And so I was able to pick from one. So the intro music is my son playing it and it was his composition. And it's just a little, kind of a jingle.
It's awesome. So if you go to what I've got on the screen right now, if you go to davidmcglennen.com/podcast, here's what you're going to see.
Yep.
And I just love this because it's pretty simple. Yep. And I want you to talk to us about the images that we see behind the screen here.
Yeah. So one of the most impactful things in my life was and is a group of guys that I go on. We call them free dog trips. That's a story for another time, but they're trips where we get out of our comfort zone. We usually do something that involves adrenaline and a little bit of risk usually, and so usually, so. While this isn't the actual picture of this trip, but we went on a trip one time that we basically did this Via Ferrata, and the Via Ferrata is it's a traverse across a cliff that's, I don't know, 600 or 700 feet above the floor, and essentially you're cabled in. And when I was doing that, I was scared to death. First of all, I don't like heights, but it to me represented the growth space, the thing that helped me to grow and to be able to do hard things, do things that made me uncomfortable. And so when I found this particular picture, it represented what I wanted to be able to have as kind of the image for this podcast, in that sometimes we have to climb, we have to climb and do hard things to be able to grow. And so going uphill, as our mentor John Maxwell says, that anything worthwhile is always uphill, and uphill sometimes sucks. It really is not fun sometimes. It took us 5 hours to get to the summit of this one this one mountain on that same trip, and but anyway, so that's the image. But getting in that space where we're uncomfortable is really what this podcast is all about, and it's really about a couple of things. When I talk about growth, I talk about growing in our mindset, growing in our physical world, our emotional, our spiritual, and of course our business. I mean, when we have we're a whole integrated human being, and so we have to bring all of that to our work. And when we grow, our businesses are going to grow, kind of like I said before. But yeah, that's the longer answer.
David, you're awesome.
I
absolutely love you. We've got so many people on here. I just wanted to kind of share this real quick. We've got Kimberly.
Hey, how about that?
With
Kimberly.
Us.
She's my collaboration partner in Emerging Leader Inner Circle. Yeah, Kimberly is amazing. I just absolutely love my little sis. She calls me her slightly older bro.
Yeah. But you know what? That's the thing. You have to collaborate with these people that are around you, because
Absolutely.
when you say, the dream of doing this, and think about, the people that say you can become an overnight success, but it takes 5 years.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
Because it's
exactly.
all the things that you think about when you want to start being an entrepreneur, that
Right.
you're like, oh, well, I'll get that done. I can do it all by myself. And then you realize, what's the one thing that I could give up so that I could have more time?
Right.
And then you probably hire somebody like Eric Reed as your success coach. Okay,
That's
Eric,
right.
I just gave you a shout out to get your blueprint for success all figured out personally, right? And you
Yeah.
say, what are the things that I really need to focus on next?
Yeah.
And then, if you're within a company, what I think I've learned about personal development through the John Maxwell team especially is, it's not just about saying, oh, now I have to go start my own business, but it's about developing yourself so that you can elevate everybody that's around you in every space that you live. So like you said, spiritually, financially, personally, professionally, how do you show up so that you're actually there to add value, instead of saying, well, who's going to give this to me, right? And that's been the biggest aha, I think, for me, just like recognizing that chapter 2, law of awareness, right?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it's really, really important, that the people that are listening to this, if they haven't experienced, if we're on LinkedIn, so a lot of professionals here that they know what personal growth is. But some others that are saying, how do I change during the pandemic? And what are a couple of strategies that I could do? David, share what would you tell them? What would you do to help them kind of move from where they are right now to do something different, to see some changes in their life?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is to first and foremost check in with your people. I mean, ask them how are they doing, and not just, hey, how you doing, but how's your heart, how's your soul, how are you doing physically, emotionally? Check in with them. That's the first thing, because I think that everybody has a level of stress that we've not had before in our lives. It's certainly, the only time in my life when we've had a situation like this. And so I think that would be the first thing. But the second thing is be willing to admit when you're wrong, or that you don't have all the answers. And really, I think that that's where you talked about, not going it alone. I'm a huge believer in masterminds. I'm part of 2 masterminds myself personally, and then I have a number of other masterminds that I lead. But coming together with people who are like-minded, who will challenge you and will, you know, check you on things, and really, ask you the tough questions, and then make sure that they hold you accountable for things that you said that you wanted to do. That is such a key. And I think that today, if there's a professional that's watching, that is maybe not quite there yet, the one thing I've said is that you can belong before you can belong before you believe. And that's really what this in the growth space is all about. It's like, hey, I know there are leaders out there that are still kind of in the old school mentality of command and control. And like, you need to show up at 8 a.m. and this is the way it's done. Well, it's really not done that way anymore. As a matter of fact, I was just talking with a leader last week who has a president of the organization that is that way. The mindset hasn't really progressed. And so even if you're not there yet, I would challenge you to get around people who are willing to give their people a chance, who are willing to invest in their people. They don't know everything, because when you do that, you're going to begin to evolve and to change. So I think that just getting around like-minded people who are challenging you, asking you tough questions, helping you think and think differently, those are probably a couple of things that I would suggest to any leader to do, in a pandemic or not. I mean, I just think having people around you that make you better is timeless.
It's timeless. It's so true. And so if you're struggling, if you're starting something new, if you're thinking about starting something new, we're all here to help, right?
Yeah.
There's so many coaches out here, and I think it's really important that we all have coaches,
Yes.
because some people say, well, I can still do it all, right? I am coaching people. But you still need to have that defined moment where you say, what am I missing?
Yeah.
Right? Because you get stuck in in our businesses and in our life, we get stuck in just being responsible. And
Right.
so we have to kind of have somebody show us that light of, well, what if you stretched over here, right? What if you just tried to do this, this next journey, this next 3 months, and
Yeah.
maybe you could do something that may seem impossible, that then
Yeah.
you say, here it is right in front of me.
Right. Exactly. And sometimes too, just having somebody asking you questions helps you to see other things that could be possible. That's the thing. I mean, sometimes we're too close to it ourselves, but when you have other people asking us questions, helping us to be able to see that there are other things that are possible that maybe we're just not seeing.
Yep. Yep. I want to put a couple of comments on here. Chuck Parker. Yes,
Yeah,
having people
absolutely.
around you that make you better. This is exactly right. We love you, Chuck.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Diane Dick. I know that you've done some work with her
I have up in the
up
Arctic
in
Circle.
up in the Arctic Circle, and
Yeah.
so yeah, so she's joining us tonight, and
Hi,
it's so
Diane.
true, right? It's all these peeps that we have that
Yeah.
we try to surround ourselves with to add value, because every industry is different, right? And when we
Mhm.
come together, we can really identify those gaps where we can step in and try to help and try to facilitate those things that we can see on the outside, that companies can really streamline their services. They can
Yeah.
really develop their teams at a whole different level.
Right.
So
Right.
I just love this. Oh, here we have Jeannie Holzberger too here.
Hey, Jeannie.
Hello, hello. Yes.
Yeah.
So great to see
Yes.
you.
I love that comment. Sometimes you have to shake it up a bit for a major breakthrough to appear. So true. I mean, sometimes you just have to kind of break the mold, and that's the thing that, creates the momentum to be able to get things moving and have a breakthrough. Totally agree, Jeannie.
My goodness. And let's see. Yes, you have to ask the hard, deep questions. That
Yes. Hey,
is
Andrea. Yeah, absolutely.
so true. My goodness, you guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. David and
Yeah,
I
for
could
sure.
talk for 3 years
We could.
because that's just who we are. But I am going to let him get back to his things that he needs to do tonight. But I am so excited because I really wanted to celebrate your new kind of your launch of your new podcast,
Yeah,
because in the
thank you.
growth space is going to be so important for people to just lean on and say,
Right,
right, if I haven't done something yet,
right.
now's the opportunity,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Getting ready for 2021 and just thinking about where were we last year at this time.
right.
Uh, and so, right, if we were not equipped, look at what our life has done. If we can continue to equip ourselves, you thought 2019 was crazy, and then here comes 2020.
Yeah. Oh man, nobody saw this coming, did we?
Exactly. So we don't know what's in the future, but we do know what we can do today, which is equip ourselves, figure out the things that you need to be able to do to lift and elevate yourself as a leader and your team, because that
Right.
is going to help you succeed over this next decade.
Yeah, and build resilience. I mean, I think if 2020 has shown us anything, it's being able to build that resilience. And I think that really taking time now to set the stage for the future and to think into the future, um, it's so important. It's absolutely so important. So
Absolutely important. All right, so I'm going to put this back up here. If you haven't tuned into this yet, if you just joined us, go to davidmcglennon.com/podcast. Check it out. His son did the opening. So,
yeah, we did.
Evan, thank you.
Yes.
But this is really wonderful. So, David, as an everyday leader, just thank you for all that you do for
Thank
us
you.
as your inner circle, for your companies
Thank
that you
you.
are developing. I'm so proud, just and honored to be in your circle because you lift me every single day.
Well, thank you, Melanie. I appreciate you being able to do what you do for everyday leaders, because I mean, it truly is everyday leaders who are just. Yeah, I told somebody today earlier that sometimes it's not sexy to just be an everyday leader, or it's not sexy to be able to do the hard things, the disciplines, and you highlight those things that people are doing, and I just love that, and I really appreciate that, because that's really true leadership. It doesn't always it's just not glamorous, and but it's doing the things, and you get to highlight the people all around the country and all around the world who are doing some amazing things. So thanks for the platform that you created as well, my friend. Well done.
Absolutely. Will you come back and join us?
Absolutely, absolutely, anytime.
Wonderful,
Yeah, you
wonderful. I
got it.
want to get some updates from you. So thank you. And again, as I always say, right, it's right in front of you. You can do those things to be a leader in your life
Yeah,
every single day. Every single day. Just step into that. Believe in yourself and believe in the power of your story, because it is
mm,
literally in your soul, whatever your desire is, whatever is burning for you
yeah,
to do. You can do that right now in the groups that you have, in the people that you trust. And so step into that and start becoming the leader in your life. So,
yeah,
very
absolutely.
proud. Thank you so much, David, for
Thank you,
joining.
Melanie. Appreciate.
If you guys need to connect to any of us, you can go to everydayleaders.com. If you are on your spiritual journey, you can join us every morning at 7:30 a.m. for our Everyday Leaders Leadership Devotional. And
Awesome.
we would love to have you join. So thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you so much. Have a great night, David.
Thanks, you
And
too, Melanie.
thanks for all you do.
My pleasure. Thanks.